Jazzcast Pros.
Welcome to Grace and Grind, the podcast redefining what it means to act like a lady, but think like a boss. This is Dr. Pamala Brown-Grinion, and like I told you 2 weeks ago, Kim and when I say Kim, I mean my dear friend Kim Love Jones, certified relationship coach. It was so good to us last week. We had to do it again. We ended on just because you think you're ready doesn't necessarily mean that you're prepared. And we're going to let Kim pick up on that. When you hear that, just because you think you're ready, it doesn't mean you're prepared. What does that mean to you?
That says to me that we're always saying we're ready for something, but we don't know until it comes if we really are. I mean, let's think about that. Like, am I really ready for all that I say that I want, all that I desire for my life? I think that it's vitally important to become that, because you were talking about that last week, that we would become the very thing that we desire. We say that we're ready, but being in a relationship requires that we do work when we enter into it, right? So you have to be ready for the ups and the downs. You have to be ready to create the safe spaces for your partner. You have to be ready to do things that you may not necessarily be prepared for, but you've got to, in the moment, shift, right? Because everything is not, like, people think success is just like straight up. No, success is jagged. It's up and down. It's up and down. But it is in the ups and the downs that you truly learn who you are and what the relationship can and cannot handle, right? So there's always room for course correction. And as I said 2 weeks ago, knowing that you want a relationship and actually having what it takes to be in one is two totally different things, because we will always swear that we're ready, right? And you don't know you're ready until you get in one and you begin to deal with the ups and the downs, the highs and the lows, because there is no perfect relationship.
Or you don't know that you're not ready until you get in one.
Right. But you know what? I think that is what makes relationships so beautiful and so amazing, to be honest with you. Okay, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about cognitive dissonance, right? That is all about you. So as you're going through this process of learning a person and learning what you want, what you will deal with, what you will tolerate, what you won't, you are learning so much about who you are in those moments. And sometimes we think, oh my God, I can't believe that this didn't work. And be grateful, learn the lesson, and move forward with this newfound information, right? No, it didn't work out, or it's working out, but it's difficult, right? Use what you're learning about yourself as the springboard to a better version of yourself. Let's say your partner does something that bothers you to no end. For you, Dr. Pamala Grinion, let's say he holds his fork like this and puts, I knew that would get you. That's because I'm your friend, sister, and your sister, so I knew. So if someone doesn't hold their, you say to yourself, okay, this is a thorn in my side. I hate that he shovels the food in his mouth. Like, you tense up your, right, even the very thought, right? So what is triggering that in you? That then becomes the next question. Why is that such a problem for you? Now, that's a great place to kind of go inside of yourself and sit with yourself and say, listen, the one thing that I can control is myself. I don't get to control anyone else. I've spoken about it. I'm like, baby, this is the proper way to hold the fork. Sweetheart, that thing drives me absolutely crazy. But are you going to break up your entire beautiful relationship over that one
Kim, it's over.
First dinner.
That's a deal breaker. It's a deal breaker for me, Kim. I'm sorry. I have broken up with a guy because he used his finger to put his peas on his fork. I'm done. I'm going, pretending like I'm going to the bathroom. I'm paying the bill and I'm exiting stage left, never to hear from me again. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, then.
Maybe not that harsh, maybe not, but really.
Because you have to ask yourself what's really important. And there are some things that you have to be willing, even when it doesn't line up and acquiesce to everything that you say you desire. Like, this person is kind to me. This person is always there for me. This person is supportive in everything that I do, and they encourage me. They are willing to go to the moon and back for me, to lasso the moon and bring it closer if they need to, right? So some things in the grand scheme of things seem like it's not even worth it if you have everything else that you desire in a partner. So I know, like, there are some things that are absolute deal breakers. Like when somebody chew their food, like, you go, close your mouth, right? Honey, please don't chew with your mouth open. But there's always going to be something. And whatever that something is that's triggering you to behave, respond, deal with, let's lean into what is really going on here inside of you that makes you so crazy that it's like, oh my God, right?
That's good. That's good. Like, turn it on yourself. Put the magnifying glass on you to ask yourself the question versus.
Right.
Yeah, I like that, Kim. I really like that. But when you were saying that, I started to think about this lesson that I do when I'm teaching etiquette. And I always say, Kim, I can teach people how to hold a fork placement, where the flatware goes, where the stemware goes. I can teach that. But what I can't teach are the internal things. Like, I can't make you have a good heart.
Right.
Like, you have to already come with that. I can teach you the other stuff, but yeah, that's a good
And
point. You're going to make me.
integrity and good character in ourselves and in them is what is really important. What are your core values, right? What are their core values? What are your core values? And a lot of people don't take time to look at their core values and say, wait. I need and want something different for my life. This is what I want, but this is what I absolutely need. There's no compromise here. I live in this space of integrity. I operate my life in such a way that even I fail, because we all do, but I try to live up to having a good and a great character. So you ask yourself, what's really important? And people say it's money, and sometimes people say it's things. But the truth of the matter is, when you break that down into an eighth of an inch of its life, you want someone that's going to love you and treat you like you matter. And you want them to have great integrity and good character.
Absolutely, 100%. I absolutely do. Because I'm coming with that.
Yes.
I'm coming with that. And that's one of my non-negotiables. I can't accept anything less than honesty and character and integrity and the communication too. I absolutely must have honest communication. Don't tell me what you think I want to hear, because you don't get to know someone intimately. And I don't mean sexual intimacy. I mean getting to really, and I want to know the person intimately. I want to know what makes them tick. I want to know what makes them talk. I want to know, what is it about me that may be off-putting, or what is it about me that you really truly love.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I really want to have that kind of a healthy relationship with my next relationship.
I think everybody wants that, but they don't know, they don't use that language, right? Because it shows up looking like material things and houses and
Mhm.
cars and fur coats
Mhm.
and the
Mhm.
language is not that, because I know people who are quite happy, and I'm not saying that this is everybody's lot, but they're quite happy with their spouse living in a shack, and they would have 10 or 15 kids if they could, because it's not about that. It's about the quality time. It's about building something. It's about our dreams and our goals. It's about the things that matter to us as people. It's the human. You know, Pam, I was doing some research, and somebody sent me a video on friendship and how today, with society being what it is, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all of these other social media outlets that they have out here, we are hard pressed to create a new friend, right? To really genuinely practice friendship. People don't often think of relationships, of romantic relationships, in terms of friendship. That is the one thing that will push your relationship over the top. Because even when you don't like what you're doing on a romantic side, because you have a friendship, you can get through anything. And the friendship means I am honest with you, I communicate my intentions with you. You are trustworthy, and I feel safe with you. If I can have a hard conversation with you as my friend, not all the time as a friend do we talk about the hardness within the friendship, but let's just say my brother passes away and I'm hurt. I want somebody who's going to lean into that with me and say, you know, babe, I understand how close you were to your brother. My oldest brother passed away, and it devastated. But having somebody to sit with you in that, and I'm not just talking about your friends, you know, your regular, like, girl, but
Mhm.
having your
Mhm.
man, while men are not women, and we need to wrap our heads around that, he's not going to sit there for the 2 hours on the phone listening to us talk about foolishness, right? Because men are not women, and we
Mhm.
understand that. The other part of that is having somebody who is empathetic and concerned about who
Mhm.
you are and where you are in your life, that they're going to be like, babe,
Mhm.
if they don't do anything else, they're going to hold you through that
Mhm.
period of time in your life, right? And they're going to
Mhm.
be there like, babe, I remember, yeah, I know how much you know, or I remember your brother or whatever. Friendship is vitally important. Because
Mhm.
when you're not having sex anymore, which we pray never happens, but when you're not doing all of the things that you would normally do together because somebody's hurt, somebody got sick, it could be temporary, they broke their foot, their leg, whatever, that
Mhm.
you can get through that and have wonderful conversations, even when everything else is not in alignment, right?
Mhm.
Friendship is
Mhm.
vitally important. And you'll find out people
Mhm.
like, oh no, that's my best friend.
Mhm.
That's your best friend. Why
Mhm.
aren't you with them?
Mhm.
Oh no, we can't. We know too much about each other now. We can't do that.
I have a friendship like that,
And it's so
Kim.
ridiculous because they would go to the mattress for you.
Yeah, and but I have my best guy friend. We've been friends since high school, and I love him with my whole heart. He is my ride or die true blue. And we used to have a relationship that was, intimate, sexually intimate. We had a relationship. We raised two beautiful children together, and we don't disrespect each other. We don't scream. We don't holler. I mean, when I tell you it is the perfect,
Hmm.
bring it down, Kim.
I'm
Bring
just,
it down. But no, he is when I say my best. I mean, it's people don't understand it. Put your eyes back in your head, Kim. People don't understand it, but the friendship is just so good. It's like we're past that. We're okay being friends. We understand our relationship. I don't know if I'll ever find a guy like a relation, another intimate relationship. I don't know if I'm gonna ever find another relationship like my friendship with him, because it's the kind of friendship that you want to have with your mate.
Yes.
And people ask all the time, why aren't you guys together? We're okay with being friends. It is so wonderful just being friends. We're, you just kind of move past that part of your life. And I'm just so happy that we could still have a friendship to this magnitude. Like, it is perfect.
Wow.
People covet our friendship, like,
Wow.
really,
Wow.
because it is just that good. He's the first person usually I talk to in the morning. He's the last person I usually talk to at night. And throughout the day, we just touch bases, we talk. I mean, it's just a really good friendship.
Okay.
Really good friendship.
Okay. Well, I'm just lending myself to the conversation just to say this. Usually, that is the one that you should aspire to be with. And I'm not saying you in particular.
He could be the one that got away. You know what I'm saying? You have the one that got away.
Because I think, like, living the rest of your life not being in friendship, not having that, like, because people have sex, they have relationships, but having a true friend, like, I'm the one who's gonna, when we 90 and you need your diaper changed, I'm gonna be that person that's gonna do it for you, right? And I want you to be the person that's gonna do it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when I think about what it is that is really important, most people need that ride or die.
Yeah.
They want the ride or die.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a true friendship, that is a game changer across the board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because what I found is that most people don't come into relationships with, it's like we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Most people don't come into the relationship with the mindset of, first to thine own self be true, and with that honesty. And then they don't know how to communicate it so that they are making sure that they get what they need in a relationship. And I do think that you also have to make sure that you're taking care of your mate, and that if I'm thinking about you and you're thinking about me, we're both being thought of. But if I'm thinking about me and you're thinking about me, or you're thinking about you and I'm thinking about you, then we're not thinking about each other. And I think that, that is important. But it's so difficult for people to communicate what they want or show up as their authentic self. It's like the representative is always in your face. And I think with that representative, I think that that's a front for imposter syndrome.
I think that there are stages to relationships. There are
Absolutely.
there's stages to grief, there's stages to real relationship. And then in the beginning, and we always think, the euphoric feeling, oh my God, this is the one, da, 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 da. You go through that, you go through the meeting, and you go through that euphoric, oh my God, butterflies. Then you get to the second stage, and you get to a point where you want to commit, right? Or you're in the relationship anywhere from 1 to 5 years, and then you get to like stage 3. And stage 3 is when all hell breaks loose. You start saying, you start really seeing people for who they are, right? And you and the blinders, the rose-colored glasses have officially come off, right? That is when a relationship either makes it or it's broken. Right there. That's it. That's all. Most people can make it through that particular season or stage in the relationship when they realize that no matter what, I accept you and I love you for who you are. Right? If you're caught up in the fantasy of who you think someone is, it's always in a real way like a lose-lose. Because that's not really who they are. That's who you want them to be. That's not really who they are. That's who they present because they want to win your heart. But
they want to win you over.
Yes, but as you move growth in the relationship from one stage to the other. And you begin to see them and say, wow, I accept you. The bottom line is we all just want to be accepted.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? And loved.
Mm-hmm.
When you don't accept who a person is, it shovels the food in his mouth. Like I'm going to use that again as that's who they are. Now, yeah, you can tell them 50 times, babe, when we out to dinner, like I hate when you do that. But I love you anyway, and accept them where they are and who they are. And we'll work on some corrective behaviors moving forward. I'm teaching him how to hold the fork and different things like that. My point is that the moment we go to try to change them, even when we see the real them, it's 3 to 5 years into this thing. They wake up, they're scratching their behind. You wake up, you're scratching your underarms, whatever it is, right? You begin to see who they really are. And people need to know, I love you still. Even when I see your flaws, I still think that you're beautiful. The problem comes in at the point that we are not accepting them where they are. But that's what we really want. And that's what we really need, right? We just want to be accepted. We just want to be loved. We want to be cared for. And we want to care for. We want to love. We want to accept them. So we can come up, we don't have to come up with any ideas about who we think they are. Like, I seen you toe up and I still love you. That's why friendship is important.
I agree. So let's talk about love language.
Let's talk about that.
I can't pick. I like them all.
I'm the same way.
I like acts of service. I like receiving gifts. I like quality time. I like words of affirmation. I like physical touch. Like, why do I have to settle on just one?
You don't. When I took my test for love, I scored like even on all 23, 24, 27, 22, right? Whatever it was all just about even because I love them all too. The idea behind love languages is to love people the way that they need to be loved and not the way that you need to be loved. So that's the important part of that.
Say that again.
You love people the way that they need to be loved, not the way that you need to be loved.
So the platinum rule.
Yes. Yes. That is what is most important because we tend to love people the way that we think we need to be loved, right? We want to be loved. So like if words of affirmation is my thing, if that was my thing, I would probably give words of affirmation. But words of affirmation may not be your partner's love language.
Right. That may not be their thing. Right.
So you need to find out how they need to be loved. And then from there, you love them the way that they need it.
When you say it's contextual, though, based on what's going on in the situation, based on which love language to apply?
Well, no. If you know that your husband, like I'm just going to use you for an example. If you know that your husband's love language is his favorite food, you're not going to come in and bring him a pair of socks or a t-shirt. You're going to do that anyway because that's what you would do. It's your husband. So you're out at the store and you pick him up a couple of things, even though you went out to go buy the kids something, right? I picked him up something. I didn't even get anything for myself. But his love language is his favorite food, acts of service, right? You're going to give him what he needs, not what you want. Because you may love clothes and be like, oh, baby, I didn't even think about myself today. I just want to get you this nice suit for church on Sunday. Well, it's got to be around what he needs.
All right. I got that. So let's see. We have some questions here that some of our listeners have sent in. So we're going to take a couple of questions here. I'm just going to randomly choose something. Can you discuss the importance of setting boundaries in a relationship? And how do you help people establish healthy boundaries with their partners?
Okay. So the healthy boundaries are so important because it helps to define what your relationship is going to look like, period. And when you set up healthy boundaries, you are really saying, I want us to win. So I'm going to set the boundaries up that I need for my life because they're subjective and everybody is different, right? Whatever your personal boundaries are, let's say you're dating. And the man that you're dating, you're getting really close. You guys have a wonderful relationship, but he knows that you work remote from home at home. And he comes to your house at 1 o'clock every day, knowing that you have to work. And you say, babe, you know I'm working right now. I don't get off until 5. I know you know I'm home. But this is not good. And I need for you to respect where I am with my job because I'm the lead director over this unit. And I can't stop for every, 20 minutes to have a conversation with you. Having healthy boundaries is only going to help your relationship move forward, period. When you do not have healthy boundaries, you go for anything. You say, whatever they want to do, whenever they want to do it. Oh, babe, like you already said you don't want to go out to dinner. Why are you now pushing me again to go out to dinner? Babe, I understand, but I don't want to go. Tonight is a pajamas and eating dinner and going to bed early night for me. When someone doesn't respect your boundaries, they are more or less saying, I don't care what you think. I don't care how you feel. You have to know how to help them by speaking your truth and honoring what you need for your life. That's going to make your relationship better because they're going to know this is not working. I can't just do whatever I want to do. If I say, babe, if you drive my car, because they might have driven your car that day, their car was in the shop, and y'all are really close. Babe, can you please put gas in my car? Or could you please not eat food in my car? Right? For whatever reason. Well, it might be a pet peeve of yours. You set them up and you say, baby, I really need, because I don't get in your car. You treat your car like a princess. I don't get in your car and do the same thing. I don't eat in your car. And if I use your car, I always go and, well, I might not put gas in it, but I make sure that it's clean, right? Because he's going to put gas in his car, right? I make sure that the car is clean. I don't leave my stuff. Whatever it may be, you need to speak your truth in order to set up boundaries. And a lot of people, again, are afraid. I think they talked about that 2 weeks ago. They're afraid to speak their truth because I don't want to cause a kerfuffle because I want you to like me. Well, people respect you and like you more when you set boundaries up for your life.
Yes, just like your children,
Yes.
right?
And they appreciate that.
All right, let's take one more. How do you approach helping clients who struggle with communication? What strategies do you recommend to improve communication and understanding between partners?
I have not always been the best communicator, and you would find that to be odd because of what I do, right? But it's a lot of different factors that this depends upon. Getting to know your partner and their communication styles it is extremely important. Learn your partner so that you dwell with them with knowledge. Don't just assume that the way that you've been raised is the best way to communicate, because you could have been raised in a loud, boisterous family, and they could have been raised in a quiet home. If you want your relationship to work, you need to learn their communication style because it may not look like yours, right? One of the things that I would tell anybody to do is to truly hear. Don't try to talk back in order to answer what you think your partner is asking you. Listen to learn what's bothering your partner, what it is that you need to know about what they're saying to you, and how that can help you both to win. Usually when serious and hard conversations are being had, it can sometimes feel like an attack. And the truth is, it doesn't have anything to do with you, right?
Correct.
It may have everything to do with their real true fear. Okay, let me use a child for instance. If every time you talk to your son or your daughter, they tell you something and you react and respond to what they're telling you in a negative way, they're going to stop talking to you. So you have to be consciously aware not to overreact to whatever it is that your partner is telling you, and just sit with it in the way that you see them sitting with it. If they're sad, I'm not telling you to begin crying. I am saying to you, lean in with compassion and empathy. It will help you. Even if you understand that they're talking about you or they're talking about the two of you as a couple, think of the ways in the immediate how you can win, how you can turn that around and you can use it as fuel to take you, the two of you, to the next level. Now, if you're having an argument, your partner may need to walk away and you may need to let them. And you may need to go and take a few steps back, right? But the reality of the situation is, once you learn how they communicate, you say, babe, listen, this is really important to me. You will come back to it the next day. You can rub on them when you get in the bed at night. We're talking about your husband or your wife. And you can say, baby, I am so tired. Like, this thing exhausted me. I know you're upset, but can we revisit this tomorrow? I get off of work at 5. I don't want you to think that I didn't hear you and what you said, but I need to process this in the way in which I process it. It's maturity that takes you to the next level.
That's it right there. And what I've learned too with this maturity is that as a female, I'm always the one that's usually ready to talk about it. But for a male, because they process things differently, I need to allow my spouse or my mate to go into the cave and have that time to process in the way that a man processes without me running my mouth. Sometimes as females, because we're so ready to communicate that we don't know when to be quiet.
Yes, I know that you do the etiquette classes. I know that I really believe that there are a lot of women who can benefit, grown women, 50-something-year-old women who can benefit from what you teach. Because it's not just about the forks and the knives and the spoons and the napkins and placement of glasses and stuff. That's amazing and wonderful. And I can use some pointers myself, right? My question would be, do you know how to articulate yourself well? Because a lot of times women can be so brash, so hard, so in their masculine energy that they don't even realize they are in it because they've been in it so long because they haven't had anybody love them, right? And so when you don't have somebody love you, treat you
softly.
Yes, right? You lose perspective about what it's really supposed to be. So we need to be mindful of how we approach men, and we need etiquette classes, and maybe not the fork, knife, and spoon, as I said before, but we do need to know how to speak to a man, to the king in them, and to the leader in them. And since we know that men are from Mars and women are from Venus, we have to stay in our place, in our feminine energy. We have to stay in the soft place that we're called to be in.
Yes, I love that. I think that we should put a pin in it right there, Kim. The way you just summed that up is the essence of Grace and Grind and why the podcast was created in the first place. How do we take ownership of our feminine essence without feeling like we're compromising something? Because we don't have to.
No, you don't.
We don't have to. We can still go hard, but we can still be soft and pink.
Yes.
Even when there's a need for us to be hard and blue.
Yes. Feminine energy is literally wisdom.
Absolutely.
It's wisdom. knowing when to hold them and when to fold them, knowing when to speak and when not to speak, sitting in understanding the Holy Spirit and how it sits with us and is always interceding on our behalf, seeking God's face for every situation and circumstance that shows up in your marriage or in your relationship, and asking God, what do you think is the best way for me to handle that? We know the basics, but when you get into the little nuances and stuff, God, what say you about these things? And when we seek God's face and operate from that place of wisdom, we are softer, we are kinder, we are more loving. And so when we approach things, we're not approaching things from the rah-rah. We're approaching the things from a softer place, which is where we should be, to speak to the King and the God in our husbands so that they would seek God even on our behalf, right? We don't always know that. And that is vitally important to sustaining and keeping a healthy relationship. It is the wisdom of a woman that gives a man peace. If he can trust you, if he can say, every time I talk to my woman, like sometimes she'd be so mad at me, she'll fix my dinner and say, baby, that idea is great, but that business partner, he's not it. And you get to the point where you begin as a man, because you want to learn your wife, you begin to realize that she's telling you what she spiritually and intuitively feels. He will begin to trust her when she is peaceful, loving, and kind. That is what the feminine is, right? I'm not saying being a pushover. Speak your truth. But it is the way in which we speak our truth. If you show up beating your chest just as hard as he beating his, that's too much masculine energy in the relationship, and that causes friction.
I love that. I'm so glad that we have this time together.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I love you dearly. Well, that's all we have time for today, my graceful grinders. And we will be back in 2 weeks with another special guest for you. So until then, like, share, tell all your girlfriends about us, and we'll talk to you soon. All right? Again, thank you, my sister.
Thank you. Love you, sis.
Love you back.